Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tim Dillon Show, live from Los Angeles, California, an undisclosed location. Anyway, everybody happy? Did you watch the Academy Awards? Wasn't that fun? See Joaquin Phoenix go up there and talk about milk. Man, Hollywood's dead, huh? It's just the carcass of an industry. It truly is. Nobody cares. Everybody, Pacino, De Niro, these people don't die. They just keep going. I don't know how. They get the best medical care. They're legends. They're literally legends now. Like, you see them, you're like, is that them? They're literally chupacabra-like when you see them on the red carpet. And then you have Joaquin Phoenix up there talking about the abuse of animals. How many states do they want Trump to win? 40? 45? What would make them happy? Brad Pitt's up there doing impeachment jokes. They gave more time than they gave Adam Schiff. I forget which guy he mentioned, but he's up there doing impeachment. It's like no one paid attention to the impeachment process, by the way. It came on the heels of the other fake thing you did about Russia that didn't make any fucking sense, that you were unable to prove. You had Robert Mueller and everybody's going to prove everything. We're going to prove that, Putin and Trump are incommunicado. You were able to prove zero, nothing, not a nilch. It was an embarrassment. Instead of talking about healthcare and jobs, you're writing a spy novel that nobody wants to read. Okay? You have Chelsea Handler and Kathy Griffin out there talking about espionage as if they have a fucking clue as to anything that goes on. Chelsea Handler's now an expert in espionage. She spent a decade talking about her snatch. And now she's talking about, counterintelligence. I mean, guys, shut up. Enough. I'm starting to think they are Republicans. I'm starting to think all these Hollywood fucks are Republicans. They're like, fuck it. We're making a lot of money. These fucking accounts look fat. And we do not want anybody else in there. I'm starting to believe that. I'm starting to believe it's a COINTELPRO operation where they just tell people, they go, hey, Joaquin Phoenix, why don't you get out there and talk about milk? It's almost like it was a sketch that was written out by like billionaire corporate donors that are like, you know what'll really get everybody? You just get out there and no, don't talk about immigration. That you could pull some heartstrings there. People might agree with you. Talk about animals. Talk about factory farming when half the country's on heroin and there's a opioid epidemic and people are working 3 jobs to drag themselves out of bankruptcy because they got sick and can't afford the bills. Ignore all of that because that could get people on our side, on your side, and just talk about the abuse that cows suffer. I mean, what level of privilege do you have to be in society to think that the biggest problem is fucking milk? I mean, how lost do you have to be as a human being to think that the real issue here, I'm not saying animals are always treated nicely. I'm saying this, we eat animals. That's how most people survive. They eat animals. They've been doing it forever, okay? Now, some people don't eat animals. They eat vegetables. Good for them. Some people abstain from animal products. But can we all stop with this insane crusade to end the consumption of meat and dairy as if it's the biggest problem in the country? This is a carcass of an empire. This is a scam that stopped being viable 50 years ago, this country, by the way. I mean, I look at these elections as like that there's somehow people that are still in the Enron office building arguing about what the lunch counter, what the deli is going to serve. We're done, folks. And we're talking about milk, this psychopath. And these people, they look weirder and weirder, the celebrity. Like, they look odd. When you see them on the red carpet, they look, Saoirse Ronan, they have a look to them where they look less and less like people. Timothée Chalamet does not look like a person. He looks like a feather. He floats around. He's this weirdly, genderless, attractive, but weirdly youthful, like a guy who's kind of cast in amber that he's never really going to age. And, all of these celebrities are starting to take on this look, which is strange to people. People don't quite understand it. The outfits are odd. The way of speaking is odd. The patterns of speech are odd. They're just not on planet Earth anymore. It looks like spaceships are landing, and they come in from their other planets to discuss things that we should be doing. It really is strange. People don't know what to make of this. People in Middle America don't understand. People on the coasts don't understand this stuff anymore. It's creepy to them. There's a level of, and I remember growing up watching the Academy Awards, watching the Emmys, people being into it, people kind of caring, people thinking that there were stakes and that these things mattered. And then something happened where it just became like odd. These celebrities are much odder. And Andrew Schultz made this point that if you don't have social media now, and if you're not accessible in any real way, and you just live in some castle, you just live in some big house, and everything you say is handed to you from a publicist or a lawyer, you seem odd now. Like a lot of these people they're no longer relatable in any way to us. They're not. Because most people have adapted and they're like, I have these tools to communicate directly with fans. And then you have this really elite sanctum of Hollywood, this really elite group of people. They don't speak ever unless they're at a red carpet or they're, it's a very staged production where they go on Jimmy Fallon or they go on Seth Meyers and they sit in the chair and they have 5 minutes of banter. And it's like, well, hey, you were in Italy recently. And there's nothing real about it. You were in Italy. I was in Italy when you were in Italy. You love when they do that. When somebody will be like, remember when we were both in Italy? It's so insane that this even still goes on. And the lead in to these shows is like, a mass shooting or, a senator who's been found to be taking a bribe or some scientist at Harvard who got caught sneaking biological samples to the Wuhan province of China, which no one really talks about. And then we go to Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers who want to talk to somebody about the time they were both in Italy. It's crazy. You got to look at some old late night shows where guys like James Baldwin, the famous black intellectual, go out and talk about real shit. They talk about real stuff. But these late night shows, their viewers are falling. They're decreasing steadily, and they're terrified of upsetting anybody. They're terrified of losing a fat housewife from Galveston, Texas, who thinks it's fun that Jimmy Fallon plays with Muppets every night and that he sings with the band and he does dances. And he brings out the kid from Stranger Things, and they play hopscotch or whatever the fuck they do. I mean, imagine watching this and having a real job. Imagine having a real job where, like, you're working in a factory and a guy next to you is like, I just got diagnosed with cancer. I don't know what to do. And you go home and you put on Jimmy Fallon, and he's playing a game with Zac Efron, or he's going to the Olive Garden with Post Malone. Like, so that's where these celebrities, that's the only time that they ever communicate with people is on these like late night shows, which are like a dystopian nightmare reality in which insanely wealthy people sit there and have meaningless conversations beyond the pit. Now, if I am asked to do panel, and I have to say this, I have to be clear about this. If I'm asked to do panel on one of these shows, I will. I think I'm beyond where I should be doing stand-up in a 5-minute set. So also, my stand-up doesn't really work in 5-minute little bits. And I can't do it if I can't say what I want to say. And years ago, we submitted to do stand-up on these late night shows, and they go, it's too ranty and it's too dark. And I was like, you're right. And I'm good with that. Like, I love my friends that do it. I love when Norman does it. I love when Sam Morril does it. I love when I watch people do it. I don't need to do it. I'm not bitter and angry. Everything's fine. But if they want to talk to me on panel, I will do that. Now, here's what will also happen. That episode won't air. That's also going to happen because it's not going to air. Because I will ask them what they're doing. Like, I will look at one of them as I'm sitting there and go, let me ask you a question. What are you doing? Like, what in God's name are you doing? I mean, I know this pays well, but I will just keep bringing up real shit, and there will be censor. Because you got to realize the people that go to these shows, like the people that attend, imagine going to New York City, the greatest city in the world, in my opinion, And I'm right. But imagine, I mean, London's a goth nightmare. The food sucks. Shut up. Shanghai, that'll have its time. It's coming. Don't worry about it. You'll have the next century. Let me have the past one. Thank you. Imagine going to New York City with a group of your friends, the great restaurants, the great public spaces, all the things you can do, the museums, and having one of them go, I'd really like to watch a taping of The Tonight Show tonight. Imagine being on a trip with someone that said that, and just it would be like the just feeling in the pit of your stomach of a doctor saying positive to you. That's what it would feel like to me, of a doctor telling you that you had AIDS. You know, not even AIDS, something even worse than that. Like, just you have 6 months to live. We're sorry, inoperable. The word taping of The Tonight Show, to me, is synonymous with the word inoperable. It would like be hearing it's inoperable. Because, can you imagine hearing that from somebody like, I want to go to a taping of The Tonight Show tonight? Why? Why would you ever want to go see a thing that you can see on TV, and you could watch it on TV and shouldn't? But what in God's name? You don't know who the guests are. They're all like, who knows who it's going to be? It's going to be exciting. We're going to see Jimmy's going to come out. Maybe he'll have a field piece where he goes to the Olive Garden with Post Malone or Cardi B, and they can sit in the Olive Garden where people have worked 16 hours to make a living, and they soak their feet every night because they swell, because they're on them all day, and they're taking amphetamines to just keep doing it and keep fucking answering the questions that fat tourists from Ohio have about penne alla vodka. They have to do that, and they're all drugged up, and they can barely have a cigarette break, and when they do, they go outside, and it's just a cacophony of New York City, blaring horns and ambulances, and they go back into the Olive Garden, and then they have to hear from their manager that, well, you gotta look good today because Jimmy's coming in with Post Malone. Now, I'm sure that there are some people that enjoy this that work at the Olive Garden because they're so broken. They've been so destroyed in every possible way that some of them might get excited. Maybe they're young kids. But there's got to be a guy that considers having a Travis Bickle moment. There's got to be a guy that thinks of throwing a tour of Italy on the table and then lunging at Fallon. There's got to be one of those chefs in the back that's had quite enough of this shit. What is the bit? That the Olive Garden's good? It ain't. That's the bit that rich people do. Let's go eat this shit that regular people eat and pretend it's good. Oh, it's kind of good. No, it's not. It's not good. It's disgusting. And everybody who eats there hates everything you believe in or say you believe in, Jimmy Fallon. You know? It's a repulsive restaurant. It is repulsive. The Olive Garden there's no quality about it. In New York City, you could get anything they serve. They're better in a pizzeria. And they go to the Olive Garden. And I guess the joke is like, we're taking Cardi B to Red Lobster. We're going to teach her how to use silverware. I don't know what the joke is. And she's like, what's shrimp's cocktail? And you have to explain it. What is the bit? I'm lost on the bit. I'm really, truly lost on the bit. But imagine someone suggesting. So this is why these celebrities and the people that rise to that level are so insanely disconnected, because they're only showcased to us on that show or on a show like The View, where they go out and it's just 5 women screaming about politics, and then a celebrity comes on to promote some movie of the week that they're doing, you know? I mean, it's truly crazy. I want to hear a podcast from these people. Where's Margot Robbie's podcast? I want to hear Emma Stone's podcast. You know? Emma's having panic attacks. It's debilitating panic attacks that she's suffering. I feel bad for her. I don't like anxiety, but maybe you're too rich and you're too white and you're too pretty and you're too successful. But it doesn't fill the hole. Tim, it doesn't fill the hole. When you get all that money and success, it doesn't fill the hole. You're actually more upset. Good. Suffer in silence. Shut up about it. Shut up then. I understand that. I understand that it doesn't fill the hole. I do things all the time to fill a hole and they don't. I get it. But just enough already. We don't need a whole story about this. You have Joaquin Phoenix talking about animals. Yeah, we should. Can you get his speech up? This is the craziest thing. It makes you want to just be vapid, wealthy people. That's what we want. We want to worship you. We want you to be pretty. We want you to be, lucky. We want to believe those things can happen to us. We don't want to. We don't want to be moralized. You don't need to come in here and tell us everything that we're doing wrong. But it's part of the problem. Part of the real issue with I think a lot of these celebrities is they just don't. There's no place for them to be human beings because all of their people are terrified. They might say something that'll lose them a deal. They can't be the spokesman for that face cream if they say something untoward. Now, if I was working on the red carpet, I would turn around to Saoirse Ronan and I would go, Saoirse, a lot of people don't know this, but you're a huge fan of Donald Trump. You're a massive fan of Donald Trump, and you actually campaigned behind the scenes for Brexit. Is that not true, Saoirse? Saoirse, you're from Ireland, a country where people shit in the street. Don't you think even if we're to protect immigrants, you shouldn't let them in there? Okay? Country where people have a 70 IQ, Ireland, where my family comes from. The goddamn Irish, the damned.